Hey guys, how's it going? VaulSC here. How's your weekend? Mine was pretty good. I was at an ITS miniature competition. I don't really want to call it a tournament because there were really only 5 people participating, and there was a buy round for the 5th person. So not really like an ITS competition tournament, but we treated it like one, and we all got to play 3 games over the course of the day. So I decided to run my Morats for this one, specifically because one of the 3 missions is Biotechvore, which is, it's almost like playing a completely different game. It's different from your regular infiNity because half of the match is just trying to avoid the Biotechvore zone in your deployment, moving out of it, and quite often the Biotechvore area gets as many kills as the other player does. So with that in mind, I wanted to run Captain Kornak and his boys. Never lost with them. They're a really strong link team. But the thing is, I can modify my normal Kornak list to put in 3 Zerats, which are not troopers that you would normally take. I'll just give you a look at my my Biotechvore list real quick. So let's just move the vision. So Kornak himself, he's got the Raktarak and the 3 Suryats, Medtech, Dr. Worm, the 3 Zerats, and 1 Dacheratsi for throwing smoke. The idea is that the Dacheratsi has Impetuous, so that helps him to get a free move out of the zone, put the smoke grenade down. That way your link team's not going to get obliterated by some sort of enemy missile launcher from hidden deployment. The thing about the Zerats is that they can attempt to infiltrate into the zone, physical 12 -3, hitting on a 9, and any Zerat that makes it out of the zone and infiltrates can just stay there the first turn, and you can use its order to propel the rest of your army forward out of the biotech zone. The Doctor's there for class. Well, he's more there because he's 6'4" speed. Let's be honest. He's not going to be doing a lot other than trying to slither his way out of the biotech zone. So, because I felt like this particular list was very strong for Biotechvore, and the other lists that I came up with for the combination of missions weren't really sort of cutting it for Biotechvore, decided to run with Morats. Although one close contender was my Shazvasti. I thought about running a Sphinx, Noctifer, and a whole lot of Shrouders to try and infiltrate into the zone, but ended up going with Kornak for that. So first round was drawn up against my buddy Matt with his Steel Phalanx playing Achilles. So let's jump into the game. Okay, let's get out a pen and we'll grab the yellow for this. Alright, so there's a unusually short deployment zone of just 8 inches, unfortunately, for Biotechvore. That's one of the things that makes it so hard. We've got Steel Phalanx deploying over this side, and then, of course, Morats are going to be taking up the opposite direction down here. One thing that sometimes happens with Biotechvore when you're less experienced, if you haven't played it before, is a lot of people put together their list and they come up with a plan that's good on paper, but as soon as they hit the battlefield, they run into trouble. What I mean by that is that it's very common for people to think that they're deploying on the exact edge of the 8-inch zone and going to be moving, this model with that order, these guys with that coordinated order, and they'll have the whole army out of the zone. It doesn't quite work like that because you need to choose a part of your deployment zone where it's actually safe to advance. Can your whole army deploy there under the cover of total cover against enemy fire? Also, there may be some spots in the deployment zone where you want to be behind cover to begin with, but that piece of cover isn't actually at the 8-inch edge, so there's actually a bit more movement required. And also, sometimes it's on a zigzag or an angle. It may not be directly towards the line that you're supposed to cross. So there's that as well. It's common knowledge that link teams are better at the scenario than armies that don't have them usually. Although my feeling is that the one thing that is even better than link teams is actually infiltration, if you can get it to work. So any models that can actually infiltrate in and don't actually have to take the test for the Biotechvore role and don't actually have to suck up orders moving, it's a lot better. Alright, so that pink line sort of just gives you a rough indication of whereabouts the biotech line is that everybody has to cross. Anyway, enough theory from me about biotech. Let's just have a look at how it's going. So we've got a Patroclus model, which is actually representing a Myrmidon, some sort of Myrmidon here. That's a Myrmidon hacker, assault hacker. There's good old Ajax, and then there's a Myrmidon with, I believe, a Spitfire. So the Animotarkos link. These guys are planning on going up the right-hand side of the battlefield. You can see his HVT deployed up there as well. That's where the 16-inch goal line will be, so to speak. Elsewhere, further along the deployment zone, he's running a whole bunch of Myrmidons. So this is the Myrmidon officer. And these guys are just normal Myrmidons except for this specific guy who has a Spitfire. So pretty heavy looking there. And he's got a single flashball spot as well. So two groups of 4, a flashball spot, and of course Achilles is going to be the reserve model. Now, I don't have 3 Zerat, so I'm using this Morat hacker to represent the Zerat assault hacker. Luckily passing the infiltration role. So that is one guy who won't require orders to move out of the zone, but his order will still be available to the rest of the army to move. Other great thing about the Kornak choice is that he's got Strategos, so you've got 11 orders to start with to move out. The other Zerat attempting to deploy here, but failing that test. It's the Fort Observer shotgun, and having to be relegated back to my side of the table. Alright, so here's Kornak here. We've got Dr. Worm on the left-hand side of the photo, and then, of course, Kornak himself, the heavy rocket launcher, the multi-rifle, the HMG with Tinbot, rack-to-rack, and next to them is the Datcharazi, who's going to be responsible for throwing smoke. I've chosen this avenue here just because this big truck and this crate here provide pretty good total cover for getting through to a point where we can start getting into very close range against the Myrmidons. Bit of a glamour shot showing you the boys behind the truck, most of them prone. The HMG is not prone though. Wants to provide some annoying AROs so that the enemy just can't cross that. Just coming back to what I was saying earlier, I mean, a lot of people think on paper, cool, I'm going to be able to move my guys out of the zone, I've got linked teams, but you don't want to be moving and taking hits from your opponent, but you also don't want to be stopping and having to spend a short skill shooting back, because then you might not get everyone free and home safe. So it's a very complicated scenario, and one of the reasons why nobody really likes this scenario is that it actually makes it worse for some factions. If you're organizing a tournament, you shouldn't really choose Biotechvore, because it's just not really fair to people who have a limited model collection and the only faction they play might be like Vanilla Aleph or something like that, or Vanilla Yuching, and they just don't really have anything, don't really have much tech in their army to get outside of the zone, no link teams, they might not actually specifically have a lot of infiltrating models in their collection. Whereas it's great for me, I've got a whole lot of factions I can choose from when I show up to these things, so it's just a little bit, it's a bit skewed, it's a bit unbalanced. Another shot here of the Doctor and Kornak. So my opponent using Achilles, of course, as his reserve model with the golden hair swishing in the wind, and my reserve model was attempting to be a Zerat multi-sniper infiltrating, but fails to infiltrate role, will have to be relegated back to the deployment zone. So first things first, Achilles, the hero, moving out. I decide not to spend a command token to produce his coordinated orders because he's got 2 link teams of 4 guys each, so that's not going to be a big deal. But he's going for the Zerat sniper first up. So Achilles moves in, wants to clear the sky out so that he can get everybody else moving forward. Now, embarrassingly, Achilles is shooting here with long-range cover and mimetism to go up against, so he'll need, I think, 6s. 6s sounds about right. And the Zerat's just shooting back with 1 shot, +3 for range, -6 for ODD, so hitting on like an 8. So it's not beautiful for Achilles, and unfortunately the Zerat rolls a relatively low, but upper medium number. Medium, what kind of term is that? And actually hits him. So Achilles extremely embarrassed and fails both of his armor saves against the double action round. So he has shot back into the shadows to skulk away and lick his wounds, poor guy. Alright, elsewhere, the Myrmidons now moving out, just trying to avoid the Zerat multi-sniper and Kornak's HMG, and moving around up to here. The Spitfire just staying prone out of range of the lethal Zerat sniper here. Now, this is the point in the game where opponent suddenly, you know, a light bulb turns on in his head and he realizes that he's got smoke grenades, which, again, is another thing you probably need in a Biotechvore, and another reason why Vanilla Pano is probably pretty bad at this mission. So Ajax and his friends moving out around the corner. Now, he wants to actually come around this way rather than going around the back of the building where he originally planned to go, because there's actually a Zerat assault hacker further up on this bridge, and even though he's got an assault hacker of his own, the hackers can't really do much to each other except immobilization. But if one of his guys, like, say, Ajax, gets hit by Oblivion, that's really bad news for that Link team. So they're moving on up, trying to get into a better position, and doing it very carefully as well. They're throwing down some smoke grenades. Although we don't have smoke grenade markers, you know, to show this, he's put down a couple of tokens just to show where the smoke grenades are. So generally moving in up here behind this truck. Kornak and his friends are over this direction. You can see the position of the assault hacker. His zone of control is sort of around about here. So as long as he avoids that, then he's fine. All right, and there they are. So this truck you see at the top right, all of the Myrmidons are, well, you know, half of the Steel Phalanx army is behind that. And Kornak and his friends, as you can see, are on the opposite side. Zerat's still up here and okay. Although he does eventually bring out his Spitfire once he gets into close range, fires it, and destroys the Zerat at the end of the turn. Elsewhere, these guys just have a little bit of climbing up to do, just try to get to a spot where they're not in the zone, so just running around the side of the table now that the Zerat's been cleared out. Achilles also moving into a spot where he's going to be, so he's using a coordinator in order to do this, just to a spot where everyone's going to be safe. So this is my right-hand side deployment zone. This is a Zerat Fort Observer that failed its role. That's my HVT. He's just piling on next to this thing. And it's actually a good place to be because it's on the opposite side of the Zerats from Kornak, I should say. And this Zerat's not really going to give them a whole lot of trouble, to be honest. Plus, they stopped that Zerat from getting into the zone. So Achilles just tucking into a bit of a corner here next to Ajax and friends. And I think he's managed to get everything out of the zone except for this Myrmidon here, the flashball spot, and I think this Myrmidon back here. So miraculously for me, the two Myrmidons fail their BTS checks, and the robot at the top actually passes. So that was good. I want him to lose Myrmidons. His link teams are shrinking down, and it should make my counterattack a little bit easier. So I've got to get out of the zone and counterattack. So Datratse moving up, deciding to double move instead of throw smoke just because he gets closer to the zone that way. Then it's a matter of the boys moving out, so everyone just jumping over the truck, getting into there. So there's a flashball spot down there where that blue box is. It's going to shoot its flashballs down at me as I cross through. The plan is to get the heavy rocket launcher through to this spot here where it can actually land a massive fiery explosion on Ajax and all of the Myrmidons. That would be crippling if I can pull that off. Now, I was very, very lucky in the first turn. Zerat shoots Achilles, does a couple of wounds. He's failing his rolls on his Myrmidons to keep them alive in the Biotechvore zone. And now it's my turn to have a bit of bad luck. There's the heavy rocket launcher firing some shots, long range against the flash pulse. Flash pulse flashes back, rolls a 1 for his BTS save, and is blinded. So that is that entire plan down the drain. Although it's salvageable in the sense that I could bring in my HMG instead. So let's see how that goes. So here we are with the heavy rocket launcher being blinded. HMG comes in to nuke the flashball spot. But again, flashball spot flashes him in the eye and he's blinded as well. So not really the best start for our friendly Morat troop here. So I'm thinking, damn, how many times can he freaking flash me? So Kornak's wanting to move past. I've got a multi-rifle guy to move past as well. These guys do have fairly high BTS. But I felt like what I could do is I could actually block this little angle with the bodies of the blinded guys, and that should actually prevent him from shooting past them as long as they don't move. And I could safely bring the brave Morats carrying against the blinding light over there past the truck. So eventually we do that. The Raktarak's also moving up towards their position as well. So we have got a multi-rifle guy into position, and he can now start shooting. So the multi-rifle guy drawing through here while he actually comes a bit further over and kills Ajax. The multi-rifle guy, he's shooting on 19s with AP rounds, 4 dice. Ajax firing back with a couple of combi rifles. but Ajax is eventually obliterated by this multi-rifle. Then it's just a matter of moving Kornak in, because the assault hacker would actually potentially hack me here. So Kornak moving through, he's not hackable. He can have a shootout with this Myrmidon hacker and fire his not his multi-rifle, his Mark 12 into that hacker's face. And then it's just a matter of moving around over here to where the last Myrmidon is. Kornak has a light flamethrower, so he has to dodge, otherwise he takes 2 light flamethrower hits. And just trying to dodge around the other side of the truck here. That does allow me to move in with my Raktarak, fully, 5-man link Raktarak with a Vulcan shotgun, firing close range against this Myrmidon here. He's not on a link team anymore, and I believe the Vulcan shotgun does its thing and kills him. And that allows me, with my last couple of orders, to finally have the showdown with the man himself. It's Kornak and Achilles facing off, but unfortunately for Achilles, Kornak has done the sneaky thing and crept up behind him rather than going, like brave heroes face to face, and Kornak just blasts him in the ass with his Mark 12, and that's the end of Achilles. Did spend a couple of coordinated orders trying to move some troopers around, so the Doctor moving up through the zone there. This Zerat up here is already in the zone, and I'm just trying to move my boarding shotgun Zerat over here as well, but the Myrmidons who are in this location are able to shoot at me. Surprisingly, though, they decided not to, but decided to dodge just to correct their positioning a bit. I found that really bizarre, given that he figured that, the thing is, if he doesn't shoot me, I make it out of the zone. And if I shoot at him, then I won't make out of the zone. So it just seemed like a strange decision. Alright, so that's where it gets to here, next to the little McMurray burger. Okay, so my opponent is down orders, doesn't really have many of them left, so we're moving out with this link team again, trying to get to a spot where they can do some damage. So moving up to the center of the table, this is going to allow the guy with the Spitfire here to fire at Kornak, and this will actually destroy Kornak, because Spitfire, pretty good at shooting. He's then able to move to this spot here and actually pick off the Raktarak as well, so the link team will be crumbling, but I'm really well ahead on points this time, so I don't really mind. Just going to go back a photo. You might see a tiny little line sticking out from here. That is actually the sword that belongs to the Datarasi. So he's actually crept up on this side of the building, and that will matter in my next turn. Alright, so moving in again, taking out this poor Raktarak here with the Spitfire as well. And then everybody's just creeping in, prone, trying to survive, staying out of the zone. By the end of it, his Flash Pulse bot also passes its, so fouls its biotech roll as well, so that deadly Flash Pulse is taken down. So on my turn, I'm a Lost Lieutenant, but everybody in the army is a Morat except for the Dr. Worms, so we don't really care about Lost Lieutenant. What I do care about is bombing these Myrmidons with a Specfire grenade. Now, this guy's Fizz 14, +3 for range, -6 for Specfire, so hitting on 11. The first attempt does nothing, but the second grenade goes sailing overhead and whacks into them and blows 2 of them up. So that leaves this one dodging away, and the other 2 are blown up. So this photo is actually taken in my opponent's next turn, because this is all I did with my turn, is I just spent all of my orders just spec-firing until 2 of these Myrmidons were dead, because that's basically the rest of his army. So this one Myrmidon officer running away here to contest the objective to try and salvage some points. So what we do here is we move out with the Morat Assault Hacker, Zerat Assault Hacker. In my turn, just using data scan on the dead bodies, not data scan, telemetry to spotlight one of the dead bodies of the Steel Phalanx just to pick up a classified objective, but also to move him a bit closer to the enemy HVT as well. I couldn't prevent him from capturing mine, so I just captured his. That's sort of drawn up, and ends up with a pretty big win to Morats, having got more army kills, a lot of stuff surviving, and picking up the classified as well. So that was Morats, Achilles versus Kornak. Had a really good time with this one. Biotechvore is a terrible mission, but if, the person organizing the tournament decides just to make people play it, just because he's, don't really want to use the word on YouTube, then so be it. Just make the best list you can. Alright, I'll be posting the next couple of games over the next couple of days as to how I did on the Sunday.